So Liverpool did make it 2 wins out of 2 in the Premier League yesterday, winning their first game under Arne Slot at Anfield in the Premier League, beating the mighty Brentford, well, mighty is a strong word, 2-0. Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz getting both the goals, and all in all, this was a really professional performance from the lads. Again, just go through the starting 11 as we always do. It was completely unchanged from that Ipswich game, which I think we sort of expected, given the plaudits that a lot of the players got. The likes of your Gravenberch maintaining a position, Jota staying up front, your back four. Well, you had the substitution in the back four, actually, didn't you? Obviously, Kwanzaa was there, started the first 45 minutes against Ipswich, supposedly picked up a knock. I don't know how true that is. Bearing in mind, Slot also said that he lost a couple of duels and then he subbed in Kanate, and then obviously Kanate started this game. So I think that's more a case of trying to work out who your second centre-half is. Obviously, we know Van Dijk's always going to be number 1, so he's gone for his number 2 there. I think he has now chosen Kanate, and I fully expect Kanate to start against United next week. But all in all, very strong squad, as we'd expect from this second game of the season. There's no real injury concerns, nothing like that at this stage. Important to note that despite not playing, Joe Gomez was back in the squad, which was good because I know there was a few concerns that he might be sold this summer. Honestly, I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world if we were to sell him, but Liverpool need to be signing players in my eyes more than they do need to be selling them at this stage, even though they have just signed Mamardashvili, but that's a whole other video. So if we go through the goals play by play, obviously the first one was a brilliant counter-attack, and it was the man who was subbed in for this game in Ibu Kanate winning the challenge in the Liverpool box. And I think I saw that they ran from one length of the field to the other in around 9 seconds or something. So absolutely ridiculously quick counter-attack in football. Obviously, Kanate wins that header, nods it down to Salah. Salah is fouled, but fair play, good advantage from the referee. Rolls it into Jota. Jota travels forward with it, plays through a perfectly weighted everything past to the little Colombian mad lad, Luis Diaz, who just smacks it away. It was an incredibly simplistic method of play, but at the same time, the directness and just the sharpness of all those forwards is exactly what you want to see. And it's what you're used to seeing with Liverpool attacks, right? They're so used to having this rapid front three, and I don't think Jota is quite as fast as, say, the other ones that we've had in the past. But generally speaking, you've always had Salah burning it down one wing, Mane/Diaz burning it down another wing, and the speed at which Liverpool attack is what makes them so many chances. And seeing it come to fruition in this manner was fantastic. Again, feel a little bit unlucky for Brentford, obviously getting caught on the counter as they did, and as soon as it went in that early, it was going to be a really hard task for them to actually gain a foothold in the game. However, after the goal went in, it's not as if Liverpool began to fully dominate the game. Don't get me wrong, their passing accuracy was fantastic. I believe it was like 92% possession or percentage accuracy in passes, which was absolutely top draw. Liverpool aren't used to maintaining and keeping the ball as well as that. But to see the fact that they have the ability to do it with the players that they've put in, again, obviously this is why you've got these more technical players in the team in the midfield. Again, you'd expect with a midfield 3, you'd think you'd have a number 6, an out-and-out like stopper, your likes of an Endo or someone. But he's still sticking with McAllister, he's sticking with Gravenberch, he's sticking with Szoboszlai. He's keeping in technicians that can enable you to keep hold of the ball, because that's the way that Slot wants to play. And seeing that still tick over and do well in a similar sort of vein as it did in Ipswich, but not quite so well in that first half as such, is good to see the actual ideas permeating through to the team and helping to get positive results, which so far so good, right? Despite all this accuracy in their play though, Brentford were able to hang in. They did create a couple of chances on their end. They did come very close to scoring through Brian and Buemo, and overall, sort of looking at it from an opposition point of view, I do think Brentford will have enough to survive. Obviously, they've got a really good result at Palace last week, so I think there's enough there. If they can get Tony firing again, they're going to be well on it, and they will easily stay up if they can sort out that whole issue at the minute. But it didn't help them against Liverpool, fortunately, and obviously the second half continued. Liverpool seemed to turn it up a little bit, seemed to go to that next level, which we know they can do. The tempo got faster, the gaps began to open, the chances began to be created. Jota had a couple of chances. When Nunes came on, he had a chance as well, but was, of course, offside because it's Nunes. But the one that did go in, the Egyptian king, Mohamed Salah, 2 goals out of 2 for him this season in the Premier League. People are saying that he is sort of looking like he's back to his best. I don't necessarily think you'll ever see Salah at the peaks of his powers that we've seen him in years gone by, just because of how outrageous he is. However, he is still without doubt the best winger in the Premier League. He just is. I don't think it's really that big of a debate, personally. And again, the goal that he did score, it's just lovely play all round, isn't it? Like, it's that stereotypical Salah finish that we're so used to seeing. Just on the right hand side there was a massive gap. I think it was him and Jota that could run through and easily slot it away. But ball gets played out to him, I believe, by Szoboszlai. I don't know. This was yesterday. I'm recording this a day later. But Salah, composed finish, just round into the bottom left corner. It's what you're used to seeing. And if he can keep on picking up these positions, which he's been able to do his whole career, Salah's getting another 20-goal season, 100%. Unless there's any injuries or anything, that would be my little prediction. I do think that he will be very consistent, particularly under the Slot system, where there's so many technicians in behind him that can find him better. I do wonder if in the next game against Man United, we're going to see some changes to that midfield, just because although they're really good at keeping the ball, and obviously they can ping it around nicely, I wonder if he wants a bit more steel in there, a bit more protection, maybe an Indo or someone of that ilk to come in. Honestly, I think somebody that could come in to fill that role could potentially be a Curtis Jones, obviously somebody who we know is technically pretty good, but has seemed to favour more of a defensive side of his play somewhat recently, at least from what we saw in pre-season. But regardless of where Slot goes with it, you've got to think he's probably going to trust the 11 that's won him 2 games on the bounce, right? We did obviously have a little bit of a weird situation occur after Trent got subbed off. Obviously, he really didn't look happy. Slot went and had a word with him, and again, he still looked pretty unhappy afterwards. I think that this was something that we needed to expect to happen this season, and it's nothing to do with Klopp going, but it's purely to do with the emergence that we had with Connor Bradley last season. He obviously came in, looked incredible. You can't now have Trent demanding 90 minutes every single game, even though he's good enough to play them. When you have such a competent backup, you need to offer them something in form of minutes. And realistically, don't get me wrong, I think Trent is probably the world's best in terms of what he can do on a football pitch, in that sort of right back position, in terms of creating chances and such. But Bradley is also an incredibly good player, and you don't want to stunt his development by having Trent play all the time. It's a very tough one for Slot to manage, and honestly it's not going to be an easy one, particularly given the whole contract issues with Trent at the minute. So I don't really know what that's going to develop into. I'm hoping it will just be fine. Obviously there's no sort of debate in my mind whether Trent will not start or anything like that, but I think it's an interesting one to keep an eye on. All in all, though, I think this was the type of performance that you really wanted to see from the Reds. Like, it was just a very professional 2-0, job done, move on to the next one, which we are so used to seeing from Liverpool teams gone by. Just go in there, get the result and get out. No dramas, no real fears of conceding. Obviously, Brentford did make a couple of chances, but there was never any fear that Liverpool weren't going to pick up all 3 points, in my opinion. Taking that into the next match, you're obviously going up against your biggest rivals in Manchester United, away from home. Not going to be an easy fixture. You've got to think they're going to be right up for it, especially given that they have just lost to Brighton. So they're going to be looking for a bit of a comeback and try and get a little bit of a resurgence and then re-spark to their 1-0 victory against Fulham at the start of the season. So it's going to be a tight one. I can't not back Liverpool on that to continue the way they have, but I do fear that this very attacking and technical midfield will get sliced through and United will see quite a few chances. But that's all I've got for this one. Let me know what you guys think all down below. Thanks ever so much for watching, and if you have enjoyed, please do consider subscribing, and I'll hopefully see you in another video sometime soon.